Okay. That's us. I'll see you in a few minutes, okay?
Yeah, no worries.
We choose to serve you, to follow where you lead, to be your witness, to be your hands and feet. We say yes, my soul says yes, whatever you have for me, whatever lies ahead. We say yes, my soul says yes, whatever you have for me, whatever lies ahead. We say yes. Oh, yeah. In every season we can trust in you, for you are with us. You are always good. We say yes, my soul says yes, whatever you have for me, whatever lies ahead. We say yes, my soul says yes, whatever you have for me, whatever lies ahead. We say yes, my soul says yes. We know that you are for us, not against us, not against us. We know that you are for us, not against us, not against us. We know that you are for us, not against us, not against us. We know that you are for us, not against us.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another Sunday night live broadcast here at Brookbury Elim. We're delighted tonight to be back on live with you all. It has been really exciting to get these live streams going. This community online has been really important, not just to myself, but to many people over these last number of years. And we're delighted that this community can be facilitated every 2 weeks at the moment. So 2 weeks ago, we relaunched again, which was wonderful. We had a great time there with Rachel Denny. And tonight, folks, we are absolutely delighted to have one of our own lads from Brookbury Elim coming on to share his story tonight. He's a Fermanagh man, born and bred, Mr. Fintann Masterson. He's going to be coming on in a few moments' time, but we would love to get this live stream out as far and wide just before he comes on. So it's great to see all of you who are tuned in already. Please do put a hello into the comments. It would be wonderful just to see who all is tuned in. We're going to say hello to some of you in your comments, and we'll try and take as many here and just as people are still coming in. So first tonight, Alan Knox, good to see you coming in there tonight, Alan. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hope you're keeping well tonight. And Richard from Oma tonight. Richard, hope you're keeping well. There's Keith Woods. Keith, you might have had to throw Fintan out once or twice and Enniskillen down the years. But great to see you tuned in tonight. Jenny Bowles, good evening to you. And lovely to see you out as well this morning. There's Nigel. Nigel from Knockcloy. I think it is, Nigel. Good to have you on tonight. Teresa, Nevin, thank you for tuning in tonight. Wonderful to have you on. Let me go down to the bottom so that those who are commenting now don't feel left out. Thank you to Francis and to Noel who have said they've shared it. So as you can see along the bottom, would love you to give this a share tonight if possible. So if you're like, what does that mean? It just means share this with other people. This is a completely free service. We have never went down the route of having ads or having, anything like that where we are asking, the only thing we ask for is that you would share it. It's completely free. Just click that wee bottom corner, that wee arrow, and whenever you click it, it will bring up all different options of what you can do to put it into WhatsApp groups, messenger groups, all of that sort of thing, which would be amazing if you could do that. And that would mean a lot. So thank you to everyone who has already done that. There's Ivan and Hazel from France tonight. Wow. Great to have you on. Thank you, Betty, who shared it. Jean, thank you for tuning in for your comment. And to Pat Robinson, thank you very, very much. Much appreciated. And to everybody who's coming in at this moment, thank you all so much this evening. Okay, folks, tonight I'm going to bring tonight's guest in. I'm going to bring him into the screen. So if you know him, and if you don't, please do make him feel very welcome and put hello into the comments. Good evening, Fintann.
Yes, Nathan, what's happening? Hello,
It
everyone.
is
How's
great.
it going?
It's great to have you on tonight, Fintann. You're no stranger now to the live stream. And in fact, you've been thrown into the deep end a few times by now. So you have. So it's great to have you on. Fintann, where exactly are you tuning in from this evening?
Yeah, so I'm tuning in from Clabby, 5 Mil Town. So everyone knows me as Inniskillen man, but yeah, we're out in Clabby tonight. So
and Fintann, it's you also work from the room you're in there. What is it you work as?
Yeah. So I'm an online health and fitness coach. I used to be a personal trainer, still dabbling a bit. But it's one of them things now. I dedicate my time to helping everyone the 23 hours outside of the gym. You know, that's where the wee sign comes. I'll give myself a wee plug there, but yeah, it's all good. It's great. It's great to have a duty, as I find it, rather than a job. So yeah, I love it.
That's brilliant. Look here, and it's all quiet there. You're a busy man, as we'll hear later on, with a busy house, but that's your wee safe place there, and it's great to have you on tonight, Fintann. So you're going to be sharing your story tonight. You're not going to be sharing someone else's. This is your story tonight that you're sharing. We want to thank you from the outset for the openness and even the vulnerability that you will be sharing with tonight. You're going to be talking around things like mental health and the struggle and battle that can be at times. You're going to be talking about just intrusive thoughts that have come and many other areas. Thank God that you're here tonight to share with us. So folks, tonight, every time you share or give this to someone tonight, they're not just going to hear, maybe just somebody preaching at them or whatever. They're hearing tonight someone sharing their story of how they have been really in the depths of despair, and yet they have found hope in their lives. So please do continue to share this, comment in the comments, and I'll take one or two here, Fintann, just so you know that there are people here that are with you. There's Brian.
Cheers, Brian.
Brian has said, God bless you, Fintann. Louise Woods says, bless you, Fintann. Carol Livingston says, welcome, Fintann Masterson. And other comments now coming in as well. So, Fintann, you're amongst friends here tonight. So, what we're going to do, just while others are getting settled and maybe people are just getting ready to sit down and enjoy tonight's life story, we're going to share a song. And at the end of the song, we're going to be getting into your life story, Fintann. So we'll give you a moment to get yourself ready. Everyone else who's listening, just take these next moments just to get settled. And maybe tonight you're like, I need help. I need to hear something tonight. Then why don't you just enjoy the song and even just open up your heart to what you're going to hear tonight. Okay, so we'll be back in just a few moments.
Alone in my sorrow and dead in my lost without hope, with no place to begin. Your love made a way to let mercy come in. When death was arrested and my life began, ash was redeemed, only beauty remains. My orphan heart was given a name. My morning grew quiet, my feet rose to dance. When death was arrested and my life began. Oh, your grace, so free, washes over me. You have made me new, now life begins with you. It's your endless love pouring down on us. You have made us new, now life begins with you. Released from my chains, I'm a prisoner no more. My shame was a ransom he faithfully bore. He canceled my debt and he called me his friend. When death was arrested and my life began. Oh, your grace, so free, washes over me. You have made me new, now life begins with you. It's your endless love pouring down on us. You have made us new, now life begins with you. Our Savior displayed on a criminal's cross. Darkness rejoiced as though heaven had lost. But then Jesus arose with our freedom in hand. That's when death was arrested and my life began. Oh, your grace, so free, washes over me. You have made me new, now life begins with you. It's your endless love pouring down on us. You have made us new, now life begins with you. Oh, we're free, free, forever we're free. Come join the song of all the redeemed. Yes, we're free, free, forever, amen. When death was arrested and my life began. Oh, we're free, free, forever we're free. Come join the song of all the redeemed. Yes, we're free, free, forever, amen. When death was arrested and my life began. Oh, we're free, free, forever we're free. Come join the song of all the
Wow, great song, and one that just offers hope that even in the darkest of times. Fintan, tonight we're going to get into your story. Thank you so much for being on here with us tonight. I guess let's go back to the start. Where did it all begin for you, Fintan? Tell us a wee bit about childhood and maybe even where you grew up.
Yeah, 100%. So, many of you may know or may not know, as I just shared there, that I'm from Enniskillen originally. So everything sort of started in Enniskillen for me. I went to school. Back then, I was in Holy Trinity in primary school, and then transitioned into St. Joseph's. So that's really where it all began for me. Was very interested heavily in Gaelic football and things like that. So yeah, that is really where it sort of started. I don't want to get too much into the story there, Nathan. I'll fly away on with it.
Yes, great. So you're like myself, you're a Fermanagh man, and it's great tonight. And maybe there's many from Fermanagh listening tonight, and they'll know exactly where you're talking about and all of that. But Fintan, where we really want to get to tonight, and what you felt to share, is around the whole area of mental health and how many people are struggling at this time, and just to speak into that space. And thank you for what you're going to open up on in your own journey. But Fintan, at 17 to 18 years of age, and I appreciate for some we're jumping right there, we don't have time to go through it all, but Fintan, at 17 to 18 years of age, you began to just struggle mentally and depression hit. Do you want to just share a few things around that time of your life, Fintan?
Yeah, 100%. And yeah, so really, as I was coming up to that sort of stage, like I was just mentioned there, and didn't want to get too into it, but basically, I devoted my life, my soul, my everything at that time to Gaelic. Basically, there wasn't very much that would stop me from going out and playing football. As many coaches, as many managers knew me, I broke every finger in my hand multiple times, but I used to strap it up and play away. The doctor used to say 4-6 weeks, how long, Fintan, and really what sort of then transpired in is that, as my football career was going on, I was getting a few wee injuries, a few wee niggles, but I started then really going out on the field and started to get pains in my chest. Around this time, there was a lot of sort of controversy and things going on, with energy drinks and things like this, and causation and correlation between people getting pains in their chest and playing football and everything like this. So there was a lot of sort of noise going on, and I was just like, here, I'm just going to tear on. I'm going to beat on, because nothing will stop me. Anything I sort of put my mind to, and even, I'm a keen musician as well, and would have competed All Ireland on the boron and things like that. So anything I really put my mind to, I seem to accomplish, and I seem to do really well. Nothing really stopped me as per se. But this really started gathering momentum. This really started, breaking me down, and ultimately to the point that, at my absolute worst, I took about 3 chest infections in the space of 2 months. They couldn't give me a diagnosis. I was on, these little heart monitor machines for about 12 months, trying to figure out was it heart related, because for many that maybe don't know, my uncle passed away at the age of, in his early 20s at 21, with an enlarged heart valve. So it was very concerned, very worrying. I would say probably more for me mother and my family, because I was just like, I don't care. I'm still going to show up. I'm still going to go on that pitch. I'm still going to play. But what ultimately transpired from that was I had a meeting with the doctor, because, 3 chest infections in the space of 2 months is not normal. It's not good for anybody. And it was at that moment he sort of said, here, Fintan, if you can't cope, I don't know, maybe it's something you can't continue with, but you're just going to have to learn to cope with it, or else, pack it in. And it was at that moment that I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't play. I couldn't put myself through all of this training, all of these things for absolutely nothing. My dream was to represent my county, the people, around me, my family, my friends, and just go out there, and just represent them through county. And I was getting the opportunity to play county, to play minor, to be playing against other counties, and ultimately, hopefully, bring Fermanagh to their first All Ireland. That was my dream, and that got taken away from me. And I really felt like I was somebody. I felt like, my name was in the papers and things like this, and I just felt like I was somebody. And I just felt like if I was stripped of this, I'm a nobody. I've got nothing to live for. Like, what's the point? And it was at this time that this was my first sort of time and transition of going through mental health, where I started going out and partying. I was like, sure, what do I have to live for? And I always sort of share this and tell people this. My dad was doing a bit of taxing at the time, and he was coming around to pick me up, and he was coming along the street, and he seen this lad sitting there, keeled over or whatever it may be, and he goes, "Oh, thank God that's not my son." And that was his son. That was me keeled over. And that was me sitting there trying to get through all my problems with alcohol, and just, I'm worthless. I'm a waster. Like, what do I have to live for? I've become this somebody, and now I'm ultimately a nobody. And it was around that time that, I then started getting back on track. I started, getting back at me training, things like that, trying to refocus and re-energize myself and gain a bit of focus. But the partying and the drinking and everything was still there, and the depression was still there, this heaviness, this worthlessness. So I was trying to find myself again. I was trying to do something and get out. So I went to Belfast, and I started going up there to work, and just get out of Inniskill. And I thought, here, if I run away, technically, so will my problems. And that couldn't have been further from the truth, because I was up there partying, having a great time, so I thought. And I was meeting people, and people who were even like, down in Cork, I was meeting some of my friends and all this here, and it was great connectivity, a great time. And I just felt like I was having so much fun, so much fulfillment, so much enjoyment. Like, again, after this low, I've hit this high, and really what I started figuring out was, when you get to the top of one mountain, you're at the bottom of another. When you get to the top of one, you're at the bottom of the other. And the bottom that then came was that I was coming home at Christmas time, and I was coming home, and I was like, yeah, it's going to be great crack. All my mates are going to be out and stuff like this, and everyone comes home, and, we all come back together. And I went to, as many of you may or may not know, at the Europa, the Belfast bus station, and I was waiting on the beloved, and that's all you can say about the 261, the beloved 261. And I was sitting there, and I was waiting, and I just felt this uneasy feeling. I was like, what is going on with me here? Like, what's going on? I'm going to shoot to the toilet, like, because that's the sort of feeling I was getting. So I went, and nothing really went on, and I walked back, I walked away, and I was like, that was a bit strange. Like, why did I get that feeling and nothing really happened? So I sat there another few minutes, still feeling uneasy, and I was like, do you know what? I'll try and go again. I'll try and go again, see what the crack is here. And went to the toilet again, and nothing really went on. I was like, what is going on? Like, why is my body feeling like this? And like, I don't know. The next minute, the bus pulled up, and I was sitting there going like, right, here we go. Hop on the bus, get down the road, sit there, relax, whatever it may be. And just before I got on the bus, I don't know what came to my mind. And I said to the bus driver, here, I'm sorry, I don't think I can go ahead with this journey. I'm just feeling so uneasy right now. There's just something telling me to get off the bus. So, and he just said, what's going on? Is there anything I can do? And I says, I just feel like I need to go to the toilet, and here, I'm just going to leave it. And he goes, here, he looked back, and he said, here, it's Christmas time. Like, the bus is packed. I shouldn't really be doing this, but if you want to run on and come back, I'll hail the bus. So I thought, he's really putting himself out here. That's an offer I can't refuse. So I ran in, see him again, nothing, hopped back in the bus. And I just at this point was just bewildered, like, what is going on here? And ultimately, whenever the bus set off and I was coming down the road, I was just, as the bus was coming out of the station, I was like, there's something not right here, there's something not right. And my mum's a nurse, so I was like, mum might have an idea what's going on if I explain the signs and symptoms here, because usually she's great at that. So I give her a call and was like, here, mum, I'm feeling real uneasy here. I don't know what's going on with me. Like, I've went to the toilet multiple times, and I just can't seem to settle. I just can't seem to, to settle this. And mum, being a mother, said, sit back, relax, and just breathe. And it was at that moment that she told me to just breathe. that I just felt this massive surge of energy come into my body, this massive overwhelming heat that I can only describe as being like put in a furnace. The bus, which for some people can be a big space or a small space, it got extremely small for me. It just tunneled in on me to the point that I literally was walking up the bus, sitting at the front. Every mile felt like 10. There was multiple occasions I said to the bus driver, here, can you just pull in here? Like, just here's fine. He's like, sorry, mate, that's a motorway. I can't drop you off in the motorway. And I was like, no, it's fine, honestly. Like, I don't mind, you know. And this was me just like, get me out of this space. And that sort of transpired me being on that bus for about 45 minutes till I got to Dungannon. And I know I called my dad and I was like, dear dad, you're going to have to come get me here. I don't know what's going on. Like, I just can't sit in this bus. I'm very uneasy. And he was like, go on, you'll sit to 5 Mile Town, you know, just push it down. He goes, I can't. I've sat this long. I need to get off. And literally as soon as I got off that bus, fine, 100%. Got in dad's car, started feeling the uneasiness again, started feeling all these feelings, you know, and I just didn't have a clue what was going on with me. Whenever I got home, and in the coming days, weeks and months, really what started transpiring then was it developed into this travel issue. You know, I can't travel, or I'm uneasy, or I have to watch myself traveling. It then further started developing itself into me unable to go into shops. I remember being nazzed the one time at mum and just felt the whole place closing around me. And I was like, sorry, mum, I have to leg it out of here. I have to get out of here. This is not good. I ultimately started then, you know, going, you know, out with me mates, whatever it may be. It started happening to me in pubs. It started happening to me, you know, to the point that, you know, I just couldn't live anymore. I just couldn't live. I couldn't get out. I couldn't socialize. I couldn't do anything. I felt like I was being stripped of absolutely everything. And being such a social person and being someone, as Nathan rightly says, keep this brief tonight, as someone who loves to talk, you know, and loves to get out and loves to socialize and loves to have the crack, I just felt like this is it. You know, I felt like I was getting myself to Belfast. I felt like I was moving forward. And ultimately, I got stripped back, and I got stripped back even further. I literally, out of this, developed an eating disorder as well. That, you know, I started cooking food for myself. And by the time that the cook, you know, you'd see the oven going around. You know, we're a generation of oven and air fryer. So I was sitting there watching this spin around and watching this cook and watching this. And by the end of it, I'd put it to my mouth, and it would make me feel physically sick to the point that I was going to vomit. It would make me feel like I was, you know, literally going to just throw up. And I was like, you know, there's something badly going on here. I tried to fight this for long enough. So I went and spoke to a GP about it. And ultimately he says, you know, from even speaking to me, like, you know, for a few minutes, and even me sitting in that waiting room was like, I felt like I was going to jump out the window. Like, I just need to get out of this building. Like, everything was closing around me. And he basically said to me at that point, he goes, you've definitely got anxiety disorder. And because you're not explained to me clearly and characteristically that there is a clear definitive trigger of trauma or anything like that, he goes, you have generalized anxiety disorder. And I says, can you sort of break that down for me of what that actually means? And he says, it affects about 1 in 200. And he goes, within that 1 or 200, he then goes 1 or 50 are men. And I was sort of like, so what does this mean? Like, how do I fix this? How do I get through this? How do, you know, I ultimately figure it all out? Because I was used to figuring things out, used to putting my head to anything, as I say, and getting through it. And it was at this moment that he just goes, here, we'll get you started on antidepressant medication. And ultimately what we'll do is we'll send you for a cognitive behavioral therapy. And I had to wait on that list for about 7-8 months. And I want to share this as well, you know, for everyone to hear. You know, a lot of people go like, oh, it's good your mum's a nurse. I'm sure she'll slip you in the VIP, or she'll know someone to get it. Not the case. Not the case. She called every single day whenever I was getting to the worst place. And she just could not get through. She couldn't get any support for me. And there was nothing really there for me. I tried the medication, I tried the CBT. It was great to have the tools. It was great to have the information, as I even said to a lot of my clients, but there was no implementation. There was simply no implementation, you know?
So Fintan,
yeah,
you've painted a real vivid picture to us here, that a young man who was looking out at life, with a lot of aspirations and a lot of dreams. And here you are, hardly fit to socialize, be in the company of people, be in an environment where there's a lot of people around. And Fintan, I just want to pause just for a moment because we could just fastly go through, but there are hundreds of people listening right now, and there will be thousands who will watch this over the coming weeks.
Yeah.
And maybe you will be one of those people listening who will be like, Fintan, I get what you're saying. Nobody really understands me. I am in a really tight space. It just feels like life is crowding in, whatever it may be. I want you to tune into the end. I don't want you to tune out now because this is the difficult part, but you're going to soon start to hear of hope. And Fintan is sitting here tonight as living proof that there is hope tonight.
Yeah.
Fintan, you talked about how you began to try what the world had in that. You tried the partying, you tried the alcohol, you tried even a bit of destructive behavior. You even then tried what the medical world had, and thank God for the medical world, but
Yeah.
it still wasn't enough for you.
Yeah.
Now, what came into your life at 21 was a strange encounter you had with God. Before you talk about that encounter you had with God, had you much of a background hearing about God? Obviously, probably being a young lad, it probably maybe wasn't a big thing. Or just tell us maybe a bit, did you know anything about God or whatever? And then just tell us about that encounter at 21, just on your own.
Yeah, 100%. So it's probably, and I'll give a bit of context to this time as well, because this is sort of, probably the worst time in my life. I had absolutely no, like I was brought up in a Catholic home, and fair play to me parents. They sort of said, like, if you want to go, and if you don't. They didn't really push me into it or make me go. As I always said growing up, it was more wedding and funeral, man. I showed up to these wedding and funerals, didn't really know what was going on, didn't really know what was being said. In my GCSEs, a failed religion, so that I think that says it all. But it's one of them things. I did not have any influence at all. Didn't know anybody that really went to church. Didn't know, because when you're surrounding yourself out in the pubs and the clubs and things like that, you're not really going to see too many, or maybe there is, and I'm wrong, but you'd not see too many of them going out to church on a Sunday and making time for God. And just to give context of why I had this encounter, at this time, as I was saying, I was accelerating in the wrong direction. I was ultimately losing every bit of will to live. And it was at this point that I was in my wee car at the time. And for more context, probably didn't have two legal attire, so I'm sorry if there's any policemen listening. But it's one of them things. Probably didn't have the most legal of tires, and just really want to paint this picture of how God intervened for me. I just had enough. I was sick of this life that I was living. I couldn't get a hold of this. I couldn't get a grip of this. I tried. That's the way I seen it. I tried and I failed. And it was at this moment then that I was like, I'm tearing out this road. I don't care. I'm tearing out this road, and that's it. This is my last journey. This is my last, my last trip. I'm done. And it was at this moment that I was driving out a particular road, and I just closed my eyes. I just closed my eyes and I just locked the wheel. I just closed my eyes and I just locked the wheel, and I was like, sweet, it's over. It's over. And I just remember opening my eyes and I was still on the road. I just remember opening my eyes and I was still there. I don't know why. I didn't want to be here. Like, I didn't want to be here. I didn't want to go through this, and I'm still here. What's going on? Like, and I knew there was something going on. I just knew, like, why I've done this. I've done all the right things there for me to finally get something right and to accomplish something after not accomplishing something. I'll accomplish this, and it didn't happen. And I came home that night and I was just in tears. I was just, like, I can't even do that. I can't even do that. And it was at that moment that I was up in my bedroom, and I was just like, I want to live. I want to live. I want to get through this. Like, because this is not me. This is not who I am. This is not who I want to become. And it was at that moment then I got down on my hands and my knees, and I just literally prayed to God. And I just said, I know that you're there. I know that you have the power and the control to get me through this. And I said at that moment in time, I said, if you can get me through this, if you can lift this off me, then I will follow you. I will follow you. And for someone that didn't have a clue what they were saying, wasn't scripted, wasn't told by a priest or a preacher or a pastor or a minister or anyone of religious value, to come out with them words, I don't know where that came from, but I do know that it was the Spirit, and I know it was the Spirit of God speaking through me, for someone not to have that knowledge, not to have that wisdom, but to have them words.
Wow. Fintan, that, you know, there's so many things here we could talk about, we don't have time for, but you were at the point where it was all over. It was over. You didn't want to be here. Thank God he kept and spared your life that night.
Amen.
And even began to open up your heart and eyes to turn to him. And maybe there's someone listening, Fintan, and maybe even just for the first time right now, they're just realizing, you know what? I'm still here because God has actually been protecting me. Maybe there's someone, I just even feel that right now, there's someone here and you know you should not be here right now. And for a variety of reasons, but you're here. You're here tonight because God is giving you an opportunity to come to know him. I love what you said, Fintan, that you failed religion. And you know what? Religion doesn't have anything to offer. Keeping rules doesn't. It's a relationship with Jesus that makes the difference. That is real. And Fintan, it was going to take a few years down the line from that night that you called out and asked for God and his help to come into your life, and that you would follow him. It was going to take a few years later before you seen that starting to work out. There was still going to be some trials to overcome in your life. And one of them being when you were confronted with possibly the hardest thing yet in your journey. And I'm conscious, folks, that we're talking on some real heavy things, but these are real things. These are real life things that people be experiencing. And maybe you're not used to it. And there'll be many, many people who are not used to people openly talking about these things. We hide it.
Yeah.
But Fintan, you were confronted with one more real big, difficult challenge before then life was going to really start going in the right direction.
Yeah.
John, talk a bit about that time.
100%. So yeah, as Nathan rightly said, you know, I started, you know, just from that moment, from that prayer, I started just getting these little paths, these little doors opening, these little, go do this, go try this. And, you know, from going from a place of losing 3 stone, losing, you know, being skin and bone, to being physically and mentally and spiritually and emotionally nothing, actually then having something to look forward to that day, something small. I rebuilt myself from that point, you know, having panic attacks in the gym and everything like that, and, you know, still tackling alcohol and even drugs at that stage. I started building momentum. I really got myself back to where I felt like I'm in a strong position here, and I haven't felt this good in years. And yeah, it was at this moment then I was in from work one day, and I was sitting on my laptop and I was just listening to some music and listening to some songs, and I heard my neighbor come in and knock the door, and she was upset and she was crying. I goes, what is going on here? Like, for our neighbor to come in and cry, like there's something serious and severe going on here. I just hope she's okay. And what I didn't know was, whenever I'd get down to the bottom of them stairs, is that she informed me that my best friend James had taken his life. And yeah, this was just like, you know, when you think that you've heard bad things and done this, and you know, and again through training and everything this, and you've got back here, it was like I said, it was the top of one mountain and the bottom of another. And it was at this moment, my parents, I'm sure, were probably worried out of their mind, like hearing this news and thinking, what's Fintan going to do? And ultimately, I just knew that I knew that this I had to fight this, and I actually ended up that evening going to the gym just to get out of my head and get out of my thoughts and get out of what had actually happened. And I remember going over to the gym at the time, and it just happened perfect timing to be a members only time, a class where no one else was allowed in, and only I knew the guys. It's not what you know to, you know. And the guy said to me, "Sorry, Fintan, like, you know, it's you know, the class only." And I just said, "Guys, I've just got probably the worst news imaginable. And I need to fight this. Like, I need to get through this." And I went into the gym, and I remember training with tears tripping down my face, just uncontrollable. I remember going down at that time and seeing that, and seeing the hurt and the devastation that it caused. Seeing people, you know, speak about me who hadn't really, because James was from Cork, hadn't really met me, but knew me and spoke so highly of me. It just really showed the relationship that we had, and the love that we had for each other. And it was at this moment that I said, this is not in my power and in my will. I'm going to do everything that I possibly can to help people get through this, to help people turn these times, you know, these negative times, these worst times, these times that they can't see hope, that they can't see light, that they can't see a way out or a pathway, that I'm going to do everything I can. You know, I know there's statistics out there for a reason, but I know if I can even take one off that'll be absolutely incredible. And that's where really I then started devoting my time into personal training and speaking with people, and willingly just giving people my time to really open up. And that's why I find no issue with sharing my story, no issue with bearing it all. As I always say, if 99 laugh but one gets value, then it's worth it, and it's worth it to share. So yeah.
Yeah, Fintan, thank you so much for sharing. Again, another tough part. I'm probably in those days wondering, how on earth is life ever going to get better? And thank God, God still had a plan and a purpose for your life. You were starting to find some of that through what even you're doing now, and all of that. But as well, God brought you into the path of Kelsey, who has shared her story a few years ago now on the online. But it was actually the following January. You're about 23, 24, and you met Kelsey. And God really, from that prayer in your bedroom where you were like, God, I'll follow you never. Now it was going to get that really things in your life, your relationship with God was going to deepen. Your relationship with a lady was going to begin. Tell us a bit how life began to find hope, and just things started to take an upturn in your life, Fintan.
Yeah. So it was, you know, after that time, like, you know, like I said, devoted my time and devoted everything to helping people and to getting really career focused, as I would say, because I felt like what I was doing was not a job, it was a duty. And it was a duty of care of people. So I then started you know, in that January, you know, working in a gym in Enniskillen. And I always said, as a professional, you know, many personal trainers get a bad name. I was like, that's not going to be me. I'm not going to, you know, be that person who's sitting there and who is, you know, getting a name or anything like that. So I always, as I say, kept my distance and very professional and watched the words I said and the language I used. And I, at this moment then, you know, I was in the gym, and Hugh at the time, who was working with me, says, we've got a session coming in here with Kelsey and her friend. And I goes, great stuff, no bother. Do you want me to shadow you? What do you want you to do here? So Kelsey came in anyway, and I just got chatting to her, and I was just like, she's class, like she's class crack. She's, you know, really down to earth, you know, and it's just one of them other things. I was just like, you know what, like I get on so well with her, everything flows. And it was one of them other things that I, you know, this was sort of just talking at this stage and everything like that. And literally I came home one of them days from work and just sitting behind the laptop. I was doing a bit of online stuff that I was very minimally doing at that time. And I was in my parents' house, and they were out and they were at work, and, you know, there's no one else there. And I was sitting there behind the laptop, and I just literally felt like this voice, like someone saying to me, it was almost like me saying to you right now, like, go to church. And I was like sitting on the laptop, like, what? Like, okay, like, what is that about? And it got to the point that I was like, someone just shouted that, like, was that outside or something? And I literally went to the hall and sort of shouted up the stairs and goes, hello, hello. You know, it was that vivid and that real to me, and it was go to church. And I was like, what is this about, you know? And it was at this time that I sort of, you know, past remarkable. I was like, okay, but like, you know, I'm not going to go to the church that I originally went with, because as far as I was concerned, they were just showing up. Because I would see people on a Saturday night that were going in on a Sunday, and I was like, well, on Saturday night they weren't doing very godly things, they weren't doing very Christian things, and I was like, how does this work? You know, so I was like, well, I don't kind of want to be associated with that, because I don't want whatever's going on there. And it was at this moment then that me and Kelsey, you know, started going out and things like this, and things sort of transpired and really started building back in. And you know, at this time, I was talking to my mother-in-law and father-in-law, Roger and Joanne, at the time, and you know, they were saying, you know, Kelsey was like, you know, my parents would like to meet you and things like this, and you know, they're Christians. And I goes, what's that? And she goes, basically, it's just having a relationship with God, rather than, you know, a religion. And I goes, what? You know, what is this? And I remember talking to my father-in-law one day, and he just said, yeah, it's basically just a straight, direct line relationship. And I was like, that's what I believed my whole life. And I've been told that that's incorrect, that that's not true. Almost on the verge of that's a lie, that you have to go through someone. And that is what the lie is, that it's a direct line. And it was at this moment that I really was like seeking God, and I was really like, this sounds like my cup of tea almost. And I remember Joanne saying that we're going to church. They just recently started going to Brookbreelam, and I just remember saying, you know, would you like to go? And I was like, I'd love to go. I'd love to go. And Kelsey, I'm sure, was sitting there going like, is he just doing this to impress? Like, is he just doing this, you know, to get a yes maybe? And I literally sat there and I goes, no, I genuinely want to go. Like, this sounds like exactly the thing that was going on. And I just remember, and again, I don't really want to get into it all, Nathan, because I know time's running away, but it's one of them things. I went to that service, and I've never went into a church that has been so alive with the Spirit, so alive with people worshiping and loving Jesus and loving God, and ultimately sitting there and just being authentic. A big thing in my life was authenticity, and I've seen it that night. And it was at the end when Nathan was praying, you know, I really felt that there was a message spoke directly to me, that I was in the right place, that I was almost home. And, you know, again, a lot of people think like, you know, like, oh, well, Kelsey was a Christian, you know, she must have like coaxed you into it or pushed you into it. It was actually me that brought Kelsey into Brookborough and got her out, because she needed God, as she shared in her testimony. She needed God too. And it was just incredible, because we both needed each other, yes, but more importantly, we ultimately needed God. And from that moment, like my life just literally accelerated at 100 mile an hour. You know, in a few months, you know, we found out that we were expecting our first child, Luke James, which was incredible news. Like, it was incredible, and I was just sitting there going, I cannot wait to be a father. I cannot wait to be a dad. And after everything that I had been through, and especially like with losing James, and that was part reason why he's Luke James, you know, I just really felt like everything was falling into place. And ultimately why that was because I was now being guided correctly. I was being guided not only through the stuff I understood from me physical and me mental and me emotional, but now spiritually, and being spiritually fed and being spiritually taken out of places that were not good for me, being taken from places that ultimately I felt like I was losing things in my life. But what God was giving me was so much better. It was so much better. And to end up in that position with the kids, with Kelsey, and such a blessing, you know, like not only to get someone that is beautiful inside and out, but to ultimately sit and have God in the middle of it as well was just, you know, God is good, and he gives you exactly what you need, and that's it. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, Fintan, it's amazing. I've had the privilege of seeing the journey from that, being there the very first week you came out. And I just want to maybe just reiterate that, Fintan, that, you know, the Brookbury is not a place that is full of Catholic people. It's not a place that's full of Protestant people. It's a place that's full of people who have asked Jesus into their life, who have a relationship with him and just want to do life together and with God. And so if you're there and you're like, oh, I couldn't come because I'm this or I'm that, folks, the doors are open. You are welcome to come. And
Yeah.
that's what it's all about. Jesus tonight isn't, you know, came for one side or the other side. He came for whoever wants him, and he offers hope. He offers forgiveness from all of your sins. That's anything you've ever done that you know is against his laws and his word. He'll forgive you from them all if you ask him and you mean it. And then you can start a relationship, and that relationship is a daily one where you can talk to him, you can speak with him. He'll speak to you as Fintan has said to you. He has heard God speaking and leading him and bringing good things into his life. So here you are now. You came out, and I remember that first week you came out, and it wasn't soon long after you're married. You're a father. You now have three beautiful children, and you have a lovely family, Fintan. And it's amazing just to see the journey God has brought you on. There's many things we could talk about around that, but I just want to pause just one more moment before we go into just asking you to share some of the things you've seen God really do for you in your life before we wrap up. But it's just to say that if you're out there tonight, listen, you can go ahead and try it, or you can just take us at our word tonight and go and realize it for yourself tonight. But know something. You were created by God, and you need him in your life. You don't need a religion, and you don't need some sort of self help. Those things like self-help and all that will help as well. But your deepest starting point that you need is to be connected to your Creator, the Lord Jesus Christ. And the way you can do that, the Bible is very clear. Acts 2 and verse 21 and Romans 10, it says, if anyone calls on the name of the Lord, they shall be saved. That's the starting point. And if you tonight are like, do you know what? Jesus, I need you. I need you tonight. Then why don't you call on him? And at the end, we'll give you an opportunity if you need help with that. But Fintan, as we have said tonight, it's a relationship that you are on with God, where you speak with him, you do life with him and as a family. And would you just share one or two things that you've really seen God working and moving? But the person who's like, it's pie in the sky or whatever, Give it one or two things that you have really seen. No, God has really answered prayer for me in these areas.
Yeah, 100%. And I just want to add to that as well, Nathan. Like religion for me, and my personal view of it, is it's man-made. Jesus is God-made, and that's why I follow Jesus. I don't follow a religion, or I don't follow any. I follow Jesus. And I just wanted to share that to back it up, because that is the key. It's following Jesus, not following the building, not following the people within it. It's following Jesus singularly. But yeah, just wanted to share, like, probably one of the or two big things that have happened to me, in the past few years, is whenever Kelsey was pregnant, and I'll just jump straight into it, with Kelsey being pregnant with our third child, which was Georgiana Grace. We went in for one of the scans, and they basically told us that Georgiana Grace was surrounded by blood. That we see this quite a bit, and it doesn't end well. They basically told us to sit back and prepare, was their exact words, was sit back and prepare. And I came out of that, and so did Kelsey. And Kelsey, visibly, and was immensely upset. And I just felt this lift. I just felt, no, I'm not accepting that. I am not accepting that. For if Jesus has saved me, and he has saved people around me, and he has taken me through everything that he's taken me through up to this point, I know that he can save my daughter. I know that he can save my daughter. And I know, and I just want to say that publicly as well, for every single person, that when it was put out to pray for Georgiana Grace, that meant absolutely everything, because there was nothing that could have been done. As they said in their own words, nothing could be done. Sit back and wait. And we all leant in and we prayed. And she is now in her bed. On the 30th of September, she just turned 2 years old. He promised us. We got many signs and signals that he was giving us this gift. And we didn't trust what we were being told and what was being spoke over it. We broke it in Jesus' name. And we prayed over that child. And now she is sleeping soundly in her bed. And I just think that's incredible, because whenever the world tells you no, Jesus gives you that hope. He can turn around and change absolutely anything and everything. And for me in my life, everything that he's shown me and everything he's done this for me as well. As if I hadn't got enough of him, he went and done this. And the other thing that I wanted to share as well, Nathan, was just obviously more recently about just my journey through everything that happened. And I cannot wait for next Sunday. And, if there's anyone on here who was praying for Matthew, I can't wait to see is that it's going to be absolutely incredible to give God back, so the glory and everything that he's done, because and I thank Matthew for that time in my life, for that I seen and was here to witness that, because when he was told all the things and when everything was spoke over with him, God had me broken for 3 days, crying my eyes out. God had me saying that this man was going to pull through, that he was going to be here, that he was going to walk out of that hospital. And God done one better. He was walking within it. He was walking within it. Not only were people praying in Brook, but people praying in Northern Ireland, people praying around the world. Like to see everyone speaking, saying the only person that can intervene here is God. And I just knew, I said to Nathan on one of the first nights, and I'll share that, that I said, I just need to get as close as possible to God. I was like, Nathan, I need to get baptized. One of the lads was joking about saying, we'll baptize in the bathroom, we'll go, let's get it done now. I just knew, I just knew that God had answered so many prayers throughout my life, that I knew if I lent all in, that if I just got as close as possible to the Almighty Father in heaven, who is capable of taking away sin, and who is capable of taking away any sickness, any disease, that he is capable of pulling them through. And I am so grateful that I am living and alive right now, to have witnessed this and to be going next Sunday to give glory, not to Fintann Masterson for praying, but to give glory to God for everything that he done and his mighty hand that moved in that situation. And I'll leave that for him to share someday. Yeah.
Wow, praise God, Fintann. It's amazing that what can happen when people come together and seek God to move. And we are so looking forward to just having a night of thanksgiving about that next Sunday night. I'll actually just put that actually on the screen here to give you a wee visual. So many of you remember we've been praying for Matthew, and thank God, God spared his life. And Fintann was a massive part of that journey. He was there day and night praying. We had some sleepless nights with the IT, with lots of stuff, but a journey that we look back on and say God has done great things. And Fintann, when I see your journey from the first time I met you to now, it's amazing. God has given you a faith. He's given you a love for people. And also to see your wife's journey as well, from the first time I met her to where you both are. It's amazing. Fintann, closing remarks. What advice would you give to the person tonight who's maybe like, oh, I don't know about this, Fintann. I don't know. What would your advice be to that person who's maybe never decided to ask Jesus into their life? And also, what would your advice be to the person who's maybe struggling mentally tonight? What would your closing remarks be?
Yeah. So the first thing that I'd say with anyone that's on here live or watching this on catch up that is struggling with their mental health, I can tell you now that it is not God. It is not God who is sitting there and telling you to feel negatively. It is not God that is sitting there and trying to bring you down. It is only the enemy. And I always say, when we live our lives on a daily basis, the spiritual warfare, the warfare takes place in our head. You've God on one side and you've the enemy, which is the devil, on the other. And you can get thoughts from one and thoughts from the other and this. And I can tell you now, whenever I was focusing on God and focusing on the right direction and focusing on the things not of the world, but ultimately of God, I started losing that voice of negativity. I started losing that voice. And I can tell you now, as someone that is sitting here and who has shared this testimony, and thank God that I'm sitting here, and thank God that I am able to share this with you. Thank God that I'm not a statistic. Thank God that I am here another day. And if this is my last day, as he says, and he takes me home, that is fine. But I want to share that you will not see it as I did not. The things he has given me, the gifts he has given me, the people that he has given me. I know that no matter what I envisioned for my life, it would not be this. And it is much greater than I ever thought imaginable. That is there for you. That is there just around the corner for you. Be patient. Try and gain peace and do things that you enjoy, and don't let anyone on this planet tell you otherwise. Do things that go and do this, go and do that. Go out and spend time in the pub if you don't want to. Go out and take that substance or that drug if you don't want to. If your spirit is telling you not to, stick with that. Let this be testimony and let this be truth from someone that has been at that darkest point and now who is living a massively abundant life. And that is due to God. And what I want to say for the person, secondly, who hasn't asked Jesus into their life. When I was growing up, many people had different views of this book, this Bible. Many people just thought, why would I want to live my life like a book of rules? Why would I want to sit there and restrict enjoyment, restrict fulfillment, restrict being happy and being content? When I can have the nice car, when I can have the Rolex, the nice house, whatever it is on this earth, that you're trying to constantly get to the next level, and it's not satisfying you and it's not making you content. This is not a book of rules. This is as any of us when we're driving to a destination that we're unsure of. When we're driving to that place and you say to your partner, your family or friend, you say, here, stick on the sat nav. Why do we do that? We stick on the sat nav because it's easier to reach the destination. You don't have to go down all the back roads and make the mistakes and do it all. It's all being done. It's all been done by Jesus at the cross. He's taken away your sin. He has taken away all of that, and he has put it all in this book, which is ultimately a library of books. It's not just one book, it's a library of books. This is the truth, and this is the way, and this is the life. And that's what Jesus tells us. And that is literally at your reach and your grasp. When I said that prayer that night in my bedroom, and I thought that I was at the bottom, which I was, Jesus rebuilt me. Jesus got me to this place. He guided me through his truth and through his word to get me to where I am today. And I can tell you now that a lot of people sit there and they offer you things for free. I know I do it through my business, and there might be a catch, or there might be this. There's no catch with Jesus. There's no happiness or contentment like with Jesus. The reason that I live every day grateful for breath, grateful for the people that love and care me and around me, is because Jesus has shown me that. He hasn't shown me the things of this world, you know, the materialistic items, the shiny objects that many of us chase and fail to find fulfillment. When you have Jesus in your heart, he will carry you as footsteps in the sands, that poem that I love. He carries you through them tough times, and he is beside you when you're able and fit to walk yourself. So if I was saying to anyone, Nathan, you know, is Jesus good? Is Jesus, you know, all knowing? Yes, he is. He sees what you cannot see. He gives you the direction that he knows you need. And do you know what's brilliant about God that we sometimes try and take away? We want it tomorrow. You know, we want it yesterday. But God's timing's the best timing.
Wow. Folks, I'm sure like me, you can say Fintann's buzzing. He's only getting going. So he is. But folks, that's what I have seen in this man over the last while, is that the Lord has really gave him energy. Look, folks, the easy thing to do is follow the rest of the world. Behave like them, talk like them. It takes a real man to come on live like us here, speak to hundreds of people and talk the way he is. It takes a real person, it takes boldness. And so we thank you tonight, Fintann. You've shared really openly, you've shared honestly, and you've shared courageously tonight. And we believe that there are people, many, myself included, that have needed to hear what has been shared here tonight. So if you have been blessed by this tonight, if this has encouraged you, if this has been something you've needed to hear, would you please all thank Fintann right now in the comments? Flood the comments with encouragements. And
can I just
can
say
see
there,
that later on. Go ahead.
Can I just say there as well, if there's absolutely anyone that's watching this right now and is struggling, is going through absolutely anything, and hasn't got enough context or hasn't got enough information, or maybe didn't hear parts, I am happy and fully willing to take as much time needed to share with you, to talk with you, to discuss with you. So please do not be hesitant. Do not let the enemy get in your head and say, no, you know what, I'll wait till tomorrow, I'll wait till next week. If you need help or you need support, reach out now. I am willing.
Yes.
You're not bothering me, you're not taking away from me. I am willing. Because I know I needed that support, and I'm willing to give that support because God's given it to me. So I'm just sorry for jumping in. I just wanted
fair
to
play. Fair play, Fintann. Fair play. And folks, tonight, I know Fintann doesn't go to bed early, so message him tonight, even if you want to, tonight. You can look him up, Fintann, on Facebook. If there's anyone here and you're like, I want to get in touch with him, just private message this page right now, and we'll get you in touch. I just want to close with one prayer, folks. If you're out there and you're like Fintann and you're like, I just need a prayer, I need to have God in my life, I need him in my life, would you just, if you're like, I want to help with that, then right now, why don't you just say these words? Don't just listen, say it from your heart, mean it, put your heart behind these words. And we believe God can meet you right now. Say, Father God, I come to you tonight just as I am. I have tried to do this life by myself, and I can't do it anymore. I've heard tonight, and I realize it's true. I need you. Lord, will you forgive me from all of my sins? Make me your child. Come into my life, and I will follow you from this day forward. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 Now, if you've prayed that, would you report that just to the page right now? If you know Fintann and you're like, I want to just chat, whatever it is, folks, tell someone. We want to help you now on the journey. The best in your life could still be the days ahead for you, as you have seen tonight with Fintann. So look, folks, me and Fintann could chat for another hour here, so we could.
Only in there.
We're only getting going, Fintann, but we'll leave it there for tonight. Fintann, has been a real blessing to have you on tonight. We'd love to see all of you over the coming weeks, months. If you have any questions, get in touch. We're going to leave you with a song. It's called There Was Jesus. It's a song about even in the difficult times, as you look back, you can see Jesus was there. Fintann, enjoy a wee cup of tea, a wee coffee. Thank you for being with us tonight. Good night.
Thank you so much. God bless. Thank you.
Every time I try to make it on my own, every time I try to stand and start to fall, and all those lonely roads that I have traveled on, there was Jesus. When the life I built came crashing to the ground, when the friends I had were nowhere to be found, I couldn't see it then, but I can see it now. There was Jesus. In the waiting, in the searching, in the healing and the hurting, like a blessing buried in the broken pieces. Every minute, every moment, where I've been and where I'm going, even when I did not know or couldn't see it, there was Jesus. For this man who needs amazing kind of grace, for forgiveness at a price I couldn't pay. I'm not perfect, so I thank God every day. And there was Jesus.
There was Jesus.
Oh, in the waiting, in the searching, in the healing and the hurting, like a blessing buried in the broken pieces. Every minute, every moment, where I've been and where I'm going, even when I did not know or couldn't see it, there was Jesus. In the mountains and the valleys,
There was Jesus.
in the shadows of the valleys,
There was Jesus.
in the fire and the flood,
There was Jesus.
always is and always was. And I'll never walk alone.
Never walk alone.
Oh, in the waiting, in the searching, in the healing and the hurting, like a blessing buried in the broken pieces. Oh, every minute, every moment, where I've been